Just keep on going.
Hello. Lucy wants to say hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Miranda will be home later tonight. I hope that'll be fun to see her. So, hope you're doing great. This is Monday morning. Congratulations. I hope you had a great weekend. Welcome. Hey, Sarah, what's up? Good to see you guys. Well, it's time to dig into good morning. Sarah said, good morning, ladies. Anyway, she's gone. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about 3 keys for authentic leadership. I'm just going to jump right in to this topic because leading this generation, they are not going to settle for leadership that is not authentic. They're not going to settle for something that is fake, a facade for them. So we have to work at being authentic, and it doesn't always come natural. And so I had this story. A long time ago, we moved all our paintings around in our house, and so we have this big blank wall in our dining room. It's driving me crazy. It's just a big white blank wall. And I've been looking and looking for something to put up there, and because it has to be kind of big. And we were at the store the other day, and I finally saw this big, huge, gigantic clock. You know those gigantic ones that look like antique clocks? Well, I saw it like in the distance, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. It was so rustic, and it just looked old, and it was like amazing. And so I was like, let's go look at that. So as we got closer to this clock, I was in love with it. I thought it was really amazing. Damien was like, I don't know. We get to the clock, and as the closer that you got, the more you could see that the pattern on the clock that looked like old rusted boards, not rusted, but old boards, textured boards, was pixelating. And as we finally got up to the clock, we realized, like, wait a minute, this is just a print put on top of a like pressed particle board. Like, it wasn't even real wood. It wasn't real boards. It wasn't real anything except for it was a real particle board. And it was so disappointing when I got up close, and I was like, oh no, I don't want a fake clock. I don't want fake wood. I want real wood. I want like the real weathered wood look, you know. And so it was just like an eye-opener for me. It looked great far away, but as you got up close, you could really see that it definitely was not what it appeared to be. Now, it's the same with our leadership. We don't want that kind of leadership that looks good from afar, but as people get nearer, it becomes more cloudy and more fuzzy, and then all of a sudden they get up close and they're like, oh wait, this isn't what I thought it was. I don't want to buy this. I don't want to buy that fake leadership. I don't want to buy that facade that everything's going great. I don't want to buy into it. And people will not trust you when you have this facade that everything's always perfect and everything is, you know, all that. So what we really want to do is we really want to be authentic. And it's one of the keys that we're going to use to reach people around you in your community. And like Sarah's a chef, like Sarah, the people that you're around in your community where you work, and you know, whether it's in a job, whether it's in your family and you have teenagers and you're leading them, whether you are leading in the church, you're a worship leader, you're a, you know, small group leader, whether you're leading in your community and you run an outreach. I mean, all these places you need to be authentic because people will receive from you if you're authentic. So I put together 3 kind of keys to being authentic. So I just wanted to talk about them this morning. I actually wrote down the notes, so here they are. And so the first one is that you have to be self-aware. Be self-aware. Self-aware means you're just knowing your strengths, you're knowing your weaknesses, and you are able to acknowledge and recognize that. I was listening to a podcast, and Andy Stanley was talking about how he gave this, or maybe it's Craig Shelp, I think it's Andy Stanley. Anyway, gave this survey to all of the people that he was working with, and it was on their self-awareness. And what he found was that the people who rated themselves the highest as doing the best and feeling very confident in what they were doing, and, you know, I'm like an 8 or a 9 or a 10 on the scale of what we're doing, he said those were the people that I found out were the ones that I was worried about that weren't doing good. And so if you think you've got it all together, You probably don't. Just saying that this morning. If you think you get it all together, you probably don't. If you feel like you're a mess and you're learning and you're growing and you're leading beyond your capacity, you're probably doing okay. So you're probably doing better than you think you are. So just throwing that out there. The first point is to be self-aware and have to be able to know what your strengths and weaknesses are so that you can be honest about those factors in your life. The second point that we have to be is we have to be vulnerable. And it's this quote I love. This is what I tell my Propel leaders all the time. This quote: the moment that you feel just possibly you're walking down the street naked, exposing too much of your heart and mind and what exists on the inside and showing too much of yourself, that is the moment that you might just be starting to get it right. That was from Neil Gaiman. Oh, hi Jody. Oh, Shayna, good morning. You're just passing through. Well, I hope you have a great day. But that's the moment you might be starting to get it right, is when you feel exposed and you feel vulnerable. And we do that for a couple of reasons. One is that when you are sharing your vulnerable side and you're sharing, your struggles, it's like people can relate to you. They know that you're a human. They know that, if you've been through postpartum depression and you're talking to someone who's been through it and they don't know you've been through it, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, when I had this, they're like, oh my gosh, I can talk to this person. I had that last week. We were talking about marriage or something, and then all of a sudden this lady goes, oh yeah, we went through this and that in our marriage, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can ask her a question because she's been through it. She understands. And so when we share about our vulnerabilities, that helps people relate to us. But the second thing it's going to do is, by being vulnerable, is it's going to show you how amazing your community is. I'm telling you, the times that I've been the most vulnerable in these videos or on my posts, or just maybe had a heavy heart, some things or hard things were going on, I was so touched by the support of the community, and I wouldn't have realized that it was there had I not shared like these hard things that I was going through, and it's like some of the things I was kind of writing down, some of the funny things that help you find out is like those vulnerable moments. One of them, on the videos I've had a fly in my mouth on the live video, which is very exciting and funny. That was great. I've had the UPS man come to the door. I've had Livy sitting here kicking the tripod, and I'm like, don't do that. Or like one day she was like flipping the blinds up and down so the light's going like on, off. And I was just like having a mom moment where I'm like, could you please not do that while I'm doing this video? But then there's also been times like that I've cried, and like sharing about my friend's taking his own life this year at the beginning of the year. I think it was in January, where I cried, or reading a poem, or even talking about Miranda moving. I mean, there's those moments that it's just real. It's just raw and where you are, or even just struggles with homeschooling. And you guys have been so supportive through all of that. So sharing your vulnerabilities also gives people a place to support you, and you'll find more out about them when you do that. But here's the key, you guys. We want to be the driver and not the dump truck. We don't want to be that person that's always like dumping our problems or dumping everything, because what you have inside of you is going to be what you're going to project. So we don't want to be the dump truck. So like people are coming or they're listening or whatever, we're not going to be that person that's like, dump, here's all my problems. We're going to be like, okay, this is the direction that we're going. Be the driver, not the dump truck. Okay? That's the word for today. The last thing that we can do to be authentic is to be consistent through the hard times. And I'm telling you, it's not always good. You're going to go through hard times. You're going to go through fires. You're going to go through hurricanes. You're going to go through earthquakes. You're going to go through friends passing away. You're going to go through, what was the other thing? Oh, shootings and all of this personal things and natural disasters and stuff. It's going to happen. But we have to be consistent in leading through those things. We have to be real. We can't ignore the issues that are going on. But at the same time, we have to be consistent. So think of 5 adjectives that you want to describe your leadership style. So maybe it's, positive. So mine would be maybe positive, thought-provoking, pushing forward, growth mindset, or whatever, authentic. And that is the leadership style that we want to keep even when we're leading through the hard times. And those are the key moments where you grow, you guys. I'm telling you, when my sister was 20, so I guess I was 30, she one day found out that she had a brain tumor the size of a lemon growing in her brain. And, you know, it had been a long process, but the doctors kept telling her, oh, you're just having migraines and everything. And so anyway, so one day she went to the optometrist or ophthalmologist, and they were like, oh my gosh, you know, they saw in the optic nerve something was wrong. And they sent her, you need an MRI. So she got the MRI, found out she has this brain tumor the size of a lemon. She's 20 years old. It's pushing her brain down into her spinal cord, okay, and cutting off the fluid going into her spinal cord. We didn't know. What was really scary about it is my maternal grandma died of brain cancer when she was 36. So anyway, so that you've got all that floating around in your head. So that's one day. The next morning, I had to wake up and lead worship. Okay, so I'm a wreck. I'm a disaster. But you still have to lead even through the hard times. So I woke up the next morning and I just felt like this, what God said to me was, this did not surprise me. It surprised you, but I knew about it all along, and I'm the same. I haven't changed, so you can still worship me. And so for me, that was my thing of holding on. I can hold on to that. I can lead consistently because God didn't change, but my circumstances changed. But anyway, praise God, she did fine, and they took it out, and she's good. But so we talked about being, I've got my notes here, being self-aware, being vulnerable, and also being consistent. That's 3 ways that you can be authentic. And I just want to leave you with this quote from Andy Stanley that's so good. He says, people will always won't, what does he say? People would rather follow someone who is always real than someone who is always right. As a leader, we're going to make mistakes. As parents, we make mistakes. As leaders, we make mistakes. But if you can be real about it, if you can admit to your child, hey, I was wrong for yelling at you, could you please forgive me? Or I was wrong for snapping at you. Or, you know, admit to your spouse, hey, I'm sorry. I was so wrong for not letting you know what was going on. Or, I mean, I've had to apologize like a ton of times in the last few days. If we can do that, if we can be real, then I think that people will listen to what you're saying. So anyway, it's important to be authentic. You guys are getting it and you're just moving forward, and I'm so excited for all this week holds for you. I hope you have a lot of really special moments this week, and I'm wishing you the very best Thanksgiving, and I am so grateful for each one of you. And I see you on there, Debbie. I love you. Mwah! And I hope you have a great, great day. Bye. And may your minds be fierce, and your hearts be strong, and your spirits be
kind.
Very kind. I love you all. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Eat lots of food.